It is Dan French. It's Saturday, so you guys know what time it is. It's the French Workbench podcast today. Got a lot of good information. We got a full studio of people here today, and we're going to go right around the room, see what everybody's up to. You guys, this is the most real and behind-the-scenes information regarding financing, real estate, money talk, entrepreneurs through on-job experience and education here in Las Vegas. If you guys have not hit the like button. Hit the like button for those of you that are waiting in the waiting room. And if you guys like the content throughout this show, please hit the content and subscribe to the channel. We need support. We need all that help we can get on this. We're shooting for 1,000.
1,000.
1,000.
1,000
That's the
likes.
number, 1,000.
What are we gonna do, Dan?
We're not asking for much. I mean, a damn 1,000. If you can't even help us off, stop watching right now.
So
we gotta have some sort of like celebrity celebration event.
Yeah, we need a local
What are we
celeb,
gonna
man.
do?
Who can we
Like-
get?
Right. So let's introduce everybody here. We got Mr. Rick Raines. He's back from Atlas. What's going on, Rick? What's going on today, buddy?
Hey, everything's good. Everything's good. Glad to be here. Let's get it started.
What do you
Right.
got there on the desk?
He's
like
got some
eviction
notes,
papers.
man.
What's
Hey.
going on there?
I got.
This is what preparation looks like.
Yeah, this is what preparation looks like.
Hey, you know what? He's prepared.
Hey, as long as
Hey,
you come
to
awake,
plan,
toothpaste
plan to fail.
free, you're good to
And
go, right?
Rick Raines,
Inside joke.
not only is he a big guy, but that's like a WWF wrestler name.
Rick Raines.
Dude comes down.
Show those guns, man. How old are you? I mean, you're
67, and this dude's
67.
Dude, you got bigger guns than me.
Bigger
Let
than
me
most
see that
20
again,
dude,
man.
look at this.
Jesus.
That's my left arm. I don't want to scare you.
We got death and we got destruction right there, man.
I got
man.
that.
Got tickets to the gun show?
Preston, how are you doing today? Pipe on in.
Well, I'm
great to see
I'm
you.
feeling pretty small right now, sitting there with the reins, honestly. So,
Preston's
Yeah.
over
Just
there.
throwing all this masculinity around, man.
yeah, I just trying to stay in my little spot over there.
Trying to keep the peace.
Preston's over there in the corner because he's flexing. He's got no
That's
room.
right, man.
Yeah, Rick, put it down. Put it down, man.
Put it down, man.
So what's going on, man? What have you been up to, Preston? It's been a couple of weeks, man.
Yeah,
Anything
just,
new?
Anything? No, nothing new. Nothing new at all.
Nothing new at all, huh?
0.0 new. No, it's always moving and shaking and trying to see what's up. See what's
Moving
the
and
next
shaking.
See what's moving and shaking, right?
Yep,
Dude,
let's do
you're
it.
all about crypto today, huh? You came in with your boxing gloves on with crypto or what?
Oh, I heard it was going to be a battle, so I'm ready. I'm ready.
Nothing to battle.
Oh, we're getting into crypto.
You're either in the
today?
ring or you're not. If you're in the ring, we're on the same team.
That's good. This
Trust
is
me.
fun, though.
Brett, what's up, dude? I mean, did you get your red line today or what?
No.
What'd you get today, bud?
5-hour energy. I try to be
I
a
see.
little healthier.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Today's Brett brought to you by 5-Hour Energy.
So the coffee is my beer, and this is my shot.
That's great, man. That's great.
Yeah.
So what's going on with you, man? Anything new?
Just finding dead bodies, man.
What?
You knew I was gonna lead with that.
What are you talking about?
Dude.
Where did this come from?
So I
dude?
live in I live in Summerlin, and every morning my wife and I go running out in the desert at the very top of Alta in Summerlin, where they're putting all the new construction in.
Oh yeah.
My wife
Oh,
went
yeah.
up there today by herself. I decided to go running on another trail more in Summerlin, and she calls me and says, "Hey, guess what? They found a body." I said, "What?" She was coming down the hill, and long and short of it, the cops, she was coming back from her run. It was all littered with cops. They had it taped off. They said, "Is this your Jeep?" She said, "Yes." Okay, we thought it and long and short of it, they
Hey,
found a body, and it's all taped
You know,
off.
the
so-
more you tell this story, the more I do think your wife, she wasn't involved at all. Happened to go down the wrong trail. Oh,
I think she might
Honey.
need an attorney.
just FYI,
It was a 40-year-old
I
bald.
found
Do you do
this.
murder
go.
cases pro bono?
No.
Oh.
Do it for the press. You
See,
gotta
I
do it
care
press.
for the right price.
It was a 40-year-old bald guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Looked like Brad.
It's
what's going
it's
on.
her warning shot.
That's why he introduced it. I ran down the other path.
She
For
just can't.
anybody
She just can't
listening.
deal with my energy anymore. She's like, she needs to get that SOB off.
Yeah.
No,
I
that's
don't-
what's
I don't
happening,
blame
man.
that.
Crazy. I mean,
Crazy stuff's happening over next to your house.
So we'll
Where do
find
you
out-
live, bro? Just like,
dude, I live in 89138 zip code, man.
Is there gonna be
Which
some
is
deals?
like
Is there
one of
gonna
the
be
best
some
zip codes. You know?
that's where they go to drop bodies.
Now they do.
Yeah.
I do have to
Now
say
they do.
that I've always thought about like.
I mean, I'm sure they did before. but-
I've never found a dead body.
Neither
Because
have
you
I.
always see it in the movies,
Really?
right? They're just
Everyone.
walking
I
around.
know.
They're like,
I
oh,
find them all the time.
Yeah.
Just
call
like
the
left and right.
authorities.
Oh,
I
Crazy,
was one time I was doing this little job in Fresno, like construction job.
Yeah.
and we're at some elementary school, and the janitor shows us where the dumpster is to throw stuff out, right?
Like dead
And
bodies.
he says, "Oh yeah, yesterday morning we found a dead body in here." This is like on an elementary school.
In
I'm like, It's
the
Fresno.
dumpster.
It's Fresno, California.
You're in
That's
the
about
wrong
right.
industry. Property management, 1 to 2 a year, easy.
Do you have to do it yourself?
You're like, you're the one. Dude, I got that. That was my second year in the business.
Dead body and a half.
He's like,
That's your
That makes you a qualified veteran for it.
He's like, they haven't paid rent in the 3 months. Oh,
That's crazy. I bet you've seen all sorts of scenarios, huh, Rick?
Jesus.
Man. So what's
right.
going on? We got to introduce here Joe Dragon. Joe, what's up, buddy? You're still in the camera, so move over a little bit side. People want to see that
I know,
handsome looking
sorry
face
about
over there, buddy. What's going on?
I'm doing great. See,
Yeah.
the problem is I sit over here, Dan, and then I can't. Well, you're in the way of the rest of the screen, but I don't need to look at that. So
Yeah,
I'm
you're good. You're good. Everybody's
Just
seeing
trust
what's
us.
on.
You look
I'm just
good.
right at you right here.
Yeah.
So
I'm trying to move around here. So what's going on in your world, man? Anything new? You anything happening?
Baby Dragon kept me up last night.
Yeah?
Till like 4, and which sucks because he's been great. That's his first mess up. But
Does he look like you, man? Like, is it features
hope
or is it
not.
more like the?
See, I was always burn. See, no, I don't think he does, and I was always concerned because when my wife told me she was pregnant,
Yeah.
I had just gotten out of the hospital for a week. That's a whole nother story. Preston was there. But and then she says,
Yeah, where
Wait.
Was he on the other side of the
Rewind.
Was he on the other side of the
how did
bed?
that
What's the
happen?
deal? Yeah.
"Oh,
Preston's the Godfather.
yeah,
When Joe calls, you answer.
yeah, exactly." What was I saying?
Listen, I
forget what
might
was
call
saying.
upon you someday for a favor. Sorry, go ahead, Joe. Anyways, so your baby kept you up?
Yeah,
First
I didn't know what I was getting into with the rest
how
of it.
the
I forget.
kid looks like
You.
maybe.
Oh, because I was concerned. I'm like, I was in the hospital. For 7 days.
So you wanted to get a paternity
Now you're
test.
pregnant. And now I'm like, he's got to have some of my features.
The kid's much too good looking.
Wait a second.
Exactly. Like,
That's that one night
But
with
the
a cool guy.
mailman, the UPS guy, that SOB.
yeah, not UPS.
Baby
FedEx.
Dragon's gonna
Oh,
grow
FedEx.
up. My mom had a one night stand with a cool guy, right? This
I'm
doesn't
over.
look like me.
By the way, if that happens to you, a little fun fact, legal fact of the day.
Brett, move on.
I'm trying to get you because I'm not in that damn sorry.
If you're married and your spouse is less than faithful
Whatever.
and conceives with somebody else, but has the child when you're married, you are the father for life. Nothing
That's
you can do about
funny,
it.
man.
Nothing you can do about it.
Even if
so
it was fathered, how
Like-
can it be fathered by someone else and you're the father?
No, legally he's talking.
No, because you're married to that person. If you're married.
But what if you don't identify as the father?
Oh yeah, I never thought about that. We'll have to get a case going.
Yeah.
I know what you're going with that. Yeah,
Yeah, see what I've done here?
yeah.
All right, let's get into the show.
Sorry,
let's get
go.
into the show. All right, guys. So we're going to talk
Interest
today.
rates. Let's roll.
We're going to talk about $15,000 first-time homebuyer credit being introduced, and we want to talk about that with first-time homebuyers. We had this happen back in 2008. We're also going to talk with Rick about the moratorium and what's changed here on Thursday and what's going on in the rental sector or the rental areas of Las Vegas and property management, right? And then
Right.
we're going to also talk with Brett, and we're going to have a nice conversation at the end about where the cryptocurrency is headed and also what you guys think about cryptocurrency. And maybe we'll even put in a little bit of information with the housing market. Brett, you can kind of help with that as well. And so we got a full show. So let's get right.
Helping where hey, that's 15 grand that I can now allocate towards pay an over list or to, close off that difference between the appraisal to get that property.
Right.
So is it really in your best interest because you've got to make up for it in the next 2 years? I mean, if home prices keep going up, and but what if they go down? I mean, I don't know.
It doesn't
But-
hurt, right? Like,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So when you're talking about a situation like that, it could probably help because you're allocating that 15 grand towards.
So let's get out the details to answer your question.
Okay.
Must be a first-time home buyer. Must not have owned a home in the last 36 months.
Right.
Yeah.
Must not exceed income
Well-
limitations for the area. I don't know what that means.
That's what we need to figure that part of it
well,
out.
that's just legal bullshit.
Limitations for
It
the
is.
They're
area.
basically saying they don't know. Like, figure it out. When
Because
when
they've done
fight.
programs like this in the past where they said same thing, but it was only certain zip codes.
Must be
that you
purchasing
could do it
a
at,
primary
you know?
residence,
Okay.
not a second home, Must be at least 18.
And first-time homebuyer, right?
It must be
So-
first known from a non-relative.
Here's what's going to happen.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
Here's what I think is going to happen. Is it going to make a big impact? Yes. Where? On the lower end of the market. So one of the things I researched is what are the sale prices going for right now? So as an example, you can buy a condo, the low end of the condo that's on the MLS this week, 67 grand. Low end single family residence, 40,000. Low end townhome, 85,000. That's what's on the list. So the point being is, if you're a first time home buyer and you're just looking to get in and buy instead of renting,
Right.
there's lots of properties out there that you can get into, but you're probably not going to get into the $400,000 and $500,000 houses because you're not going to qualify.
Well, right.
But so that's going to help push the lower end of the market, maybe even push the lower end up a little bit.
And
Those
attach-
ones you mentioned, are they cash? Or can you get a loan on them?
Where is this lower end of the market?
Because that's what I'm saying is, if they're cash, then it doesn't matter if you know, because you got to get a loan.
Nice them to go and use them. You know what I mean? So they already
Well-
have that with. I mean, builders are already giving stuff out anyways, right? They're giving out credits. They're giving out things.
People wouldn't understand it.
It would just
You're
be
exactly
They
right.
wouldn't understand
it would
All it
To
does
be
is confuse it.
determined.
to be determined.
I mean, they're fighting over it.
Yeah, so basically it's
Hell of
not
an
passed.
answer.
But if it passes,
That's
we'll
our
see.
Hey, it's
government.
not passed yet.
To end this part of our segment here, though, I want to say this: it won't impact Las Vegas as it will impact other cities, like you said, Rick, and like you said, Preston, because I think Vegas is an exception to how things run here. This is a desirable place to be, and I think it's going to be for the foreseeable future. It's going to be that way. You know, I don't feel like it's ever going to taper off.
Yeah.
So let's go into talk with Rick. I want to talk with Rick about what's happening with the moratorium and the evictions. There's some news that came out on Thursday, and it's an update. It's a
got
big update. So I wanted to talk with him about what happened on Thursday, what was passed, and how is this going to affect landlords.
Okay, on Thursday, the government, actually, the
Supreme
Court came down and said no way on the moratorium, the CDC moratorium. So that ended immediately, which means that from a federal standpoint, when it comes to both foreclosures and evictions federally, those are both back on the books. Now, I just wanted to bring up that there are still 7 states that have some sort of eviction moratorium or foreclosure moratorium. And only 3 states have both. And anybody want to guess what the 3 states are that still have?
California, Nevada. Nope. All right. California, New York.
New Jersey.
Wow, that's
And New
basically
Jersey.
New York.
And,
So California, New York, and New
DC,
Jersey.
and other
DC.
New York.
Yeah, and DC. So they still have both going on. There's still one hurdle left here in Vegas, in Nevada. Anybody want to guess who's still protected or who you can't evict on?
Would it be? I would say handicap
I was
assistant.
gonna say,
Anybody? The answer is anybody who has got an application in for federal funding for reimbursement on their rents. So the CHAPS program.
The CHAPS program.
So if they've got an application in, they're still protected. But everybody else, good to go.
Wow.
good to go.
Good to go.
It was
It's such a
interesting.
romantic, Rick. Talk more like that.
Whisper in my ear.
Right. So what do you see right now with the rental sector as far as, is there properties, are people struggling still to find a place to rent? Because look, everybody's not going to move out here and buy a house, and we get it. Sometimes it doesn't even make sense.
Is it gonna? Are we gonna see? You think the rental market free up a little bit
so-
with some evictions, or is it gonna just be more of the same? Stuff?
Okay, so I've got a little thing here I wanted to address that directly, but also feed off of last week.
Okay.
So last week I talked about owners and how you control your costs on your agreements. And I want to thank all the owners that called into my office. We're able to help some of them. If there's anybody else out there, take a look at your agreements, give us a call.
Excellent news.
Second, one of the things is, as you all know, every real estate agent makes a ton of money, hand over fist, from the first day that they get in the business until the day that they leave. Correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That's what the general public thinks.
Undisputed fact number 1.
Except the
And
first 2 years I stayed in a budget suites here. Other than that, some
Here's-
$50,000.
I'm leading into this because I wanted to give you some statistics, and this is for the listeners. 50% of the people that get into the real estate business are out in the very first year. 50%.
Yeah.
We have 20,000 realtors that are part of the MLS, which means that 10,000 of them are leaving in their first year. 20% are leaving in their second year. By the end of the fifth year, almost 95% of the people that started are gone.
Why by the fifth year?
By the fifth year.
I've been doing this 16 years. Anyways.
So you're one of the hey, you're one of the 5%. I'm one of the 5%. Here,
For punishment.
hey.
Exactly.
So why is it that these people are leaving? Why is it that realtors get out of the
Because
business?
it's like a side hustle for a lot of people.
Well, yeah, but the reason it stays a side hustle is because they're not making any money. All right.
Work one
So
day a
this
week,
is an
yeah.
important point, and the important point to this is, Dan asked me last week, how can renters secure properties faster? Okay. And this is where I'm leading, because it's counterintuitive. So if you want to be the first person to know about a property, do not contact a property manager, because they're only interested in the very few properties that they have available. The people that you want to be calling are sales agents that are first and second year in the business, that are frickin' struggling to hold on. They're going to do any and everything they can to stay in the business, and they're going to be willing to show you.
I 100% concur with you. Absolutely.
I love that take too.
That's real and it's truthful, dude.
And maybe they get this. They'll work their ass off because they hopefully.
They absolutely
because,
will.
because
Guarantee they
hope
will,
in-
dude.
They hope in the
Absolutely.
future to get
Hungry, dude.
get a sale from
Hungry.
you. So what I'm trying to tell you is contact large real estate offices and specifically ask for new agents. And once you find one, what they can do is they're going to set you up on a search through the MLS. They're going to put your parameters into the back end, and it's going to email you as soon as a property that comes into your specifications, and you can then get a hold of this agent who doesn't have to do anything except take you out and show you the property, and that's all they have to do. Give you the card, and you're going to head over to the property manager, fill out the app, and done. So it's low risk for them. They don't have to do anything. You can control it, and you want to get a hold of new agents. So it's counterintuitive. On the other side.
So I'm sorry. How does this is a naive question? How does the new agent get paid in that transaction?
So they get paid from a referral fee from the property manager for bringing a
It's
qualified.
like $300.
I thought it was
200, 300 bucks.
It
based
depends
on the
on
house.
Well,
depends on the
but you
house.
also have to look at too that what if you develop a relationship with that person when they're ready
Exactly.
to buy, then you buy down the
Dude,
road.
So
yeah,
it keeps
that's-
on
I was
it keeps
just
on giving you if you
clarifying
do
that.
it right.
So we have
Yeah.
over the years we have
95% of agents don't think like that. Apparently.
They don't. Dude, you'd be
why-
surprised.
They want to eat fast.
So
I'm still here out of default. Sorry. Not because I'm brilliant.
No. Yeah.
Hard
Sorry,
work, right?
sorry, Rick.
I just don't
okay.
understand. No. Go ahead. Sorry.
over the years we've actually in a way sponsored many realtors this way that have been able to stay in the business, and then eventually we never hear from them again because they've got their sale business going. It usually takes 2 to 3 years. All right. So on the flip side, again, counterintuitive. If you're an investor, you don't want to be going to a sales agent. Okay. Why? If you pick up the phone, who are you going to get? The 50 to 70%, they're going to be out. They don't know what they're doing.
Yep.
They're the first year. Who do you want to get a hold of? You want to get a hold of a property manager to buy your property because they're not going to blow smoke up your skirt
They gotta
and
deal with
tell
it.
you, and especially if you get a property manager that you're going to use. Now he has a vested interest in making sure that what you get is going to pay out the way you think it's going to, as opposed to an agent who is dire for food money, who's going to tell you anything that
Whatever you wanna hear,
whatever
yeah.
you want to hear,
Absolutely.
so that you buy. So just this last week, we had this scenario happen.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was just trying to follow
Okay.
you. Quick question.
Yeah,
You contact the property manager to
purchase
for
your investment.
and that's because the property manager is,
Going to tell you the truth.
and the motivation from the property manager is because you're taking a cut on that rent, and so you need it to be
Reason
what
is
you
Right,
said.
so-
the managers understand how the books are
how it
supposed to
works.
look. So
So
they know what
let-
they can get for the rent. They know
because
what they're
because
gonna be
in
able to balance the
reality
budget.
they could terminate that manager at some point,
Right,
so they want to
but-
make sure they get what they're buying, right? Is what you're saying.
Well, let me give you an example. So just this last week, actually it's been 3 weeks ago, owner calls up, had an outside agent, not one of our guys, sell him this property. 1.2 million. All right, 1.2 million. And the agent tells him how much he's going to be able to rent this place for, and he throws in furniture on the deal. So agent basically puts furniture in the house so that whoever is going to rent it, it's already furnished for them.
Gotcha.
But he tells them a price that's literally $1,000 more a month than he can possibly get. Makes the deal. Now we've got the property, and we keep telling him, you got to bring it down, you got to bring it down, you got to bring it down.
For what he's trying to get for rent?
For what he's trying to get on rent. And the other problem is that how many people are going to move into a $1.2 million house and not have their own furniture?
Yeah.
All right. So he's got another problem. So the point I'm trying to make is when you buy an investment property, get a hold of a property manager, go through the guy that's going to end up taking care of it for you so that you get the straight scoop and you know exactly how it is that it's going to end up. So it's counterintuitive. And you want a property manager that has a lot of experience, okay, for investment. And on the rental side, you want a sales agent that doesn't know anything, that's working, that needs any business that he can get. So now to answer your question quickly on what's happening in the rental market. This last week, which I found really interesting, condos expanded over 5%, single-family residence over 5%, and overall the rental market went up 2%. So we lost in what I call all other, which is triplexes, fourplexes, duplexes, apartments. They went down almost 36% just over this last week.
You're talking about the sales
Are you
price.
talking about availability?
Yeah, just the number of properties that are on the market.
Okay.
Okay.
So absorption, right?
Right. So we went from 1065 to 1087, a 2% increase, and that's how it went out. And as far as the sales market, we went up almost 1% for the week, and that was almost all in. It was all in single-family residence. So
it's pretty stagnant.
pretty stagnant. Here's another thing that's interesting. On the west side of town, and west of the 15, went up almost 5% in rentals, and east side
For availability?
For availability.
Okay.
And the east side went down 5.7%.
People just moved across the street.
Yeah, that's interesting. I would assume it all would
Rent's
go up.
cheaper
the
on the
stuff.
east side.
Yeah.
Yeah, the west side. There's some good rental units. We get a few blocks away from the strip, but it's a good area, so that makes sense.
And for those of you who are interested in sale prices, just because you like numbers, single family residence, the highest one in the market right now is $32.5 million.
Oh, nice. That's reasonable.
Yeah. I could just put my house up.
Townhomes is $1.6 million, and condos is $2.8 million.
So
That's
the
highest.
32 million one?
Yeah, I didn't look at it.
I did. So it's in Henderson. Dude, this thing is
Is that the white one?
It's off the charts.
Is that
like the guy
hill?
the owner of it owns like what was it, some insurance. He basically owned like an insurance company or something like that.
Allstate.
Monopolied in that, and then he created like a whole training course that like different insurance agents can
So he has value.
put.
He
Yeah,
has
dude,
value.
dude. I mean, this guy's like, I think one year he made like 28 million in a year and da da da. But this house is phenomenal.
Maybe we should
It's
start.
in
You did
Henderson.
an extensive background check on this guy.
Yeah, I did. Well, I did a whole thing on it because I'm like,
Social is-
of course, I'm like, who the hell can live in a house? Like,
Does he
don't you
buy-
ever wonder, like, what do these people do for a living?
All right.
that
Did
they're
his
living-
did his company by chance sell home insurance? Was that what he was?
No.
doing? Talking about to get screwed
Yeah.
over that thing.
Yeah. So, but I mean, it's an amazing house. Go online and look at it.
What does the
It's
maintenance on
freaking
a $30
crazy.
million home look like every year? Like,
What's
is
the
it-
maintenance on it?
Yeah, what do you think that looks like?
I don't know, but you can afford
A
it.
year?
Like, I don't even
Man,
know.
it's got to be probably 50,000, 100,000 minimum.
Like, just in
I-
light bulbs and cleaning
I will
crews
take
or what? Like,
I will take the time to learn that knowledge when I buy a $32 million house.
like, I'll let you know. I'll let you know how
I'll
much
let
it
you
costs.
know.
So let's go back
In
to
the
Rick.
meanwhile, who wants to call me for some business?
Yeah, let's talk to Rick real quick. So, Rick, on the rental side of it, landlords, are you starting to see a decline in landlords wanting to buy, mom and pop trying to buy into investment properties because they're having issues, obviously, with tenants and things? I think that's starting to kind of go away a little bit. But are you seeing a decline, or maybe a less amount of people contacting your property management to see if you can represent them?
There's more people that are contacting us to see if we can represent them, not less.
Not less.
So,
Okay.
Not less.
And so what do you think is the reason of why that's happening right now? Is it because people are looking for a good property manager because they're just
French workbench.
right?
Obviously.
The day in French workbench.
Obviously.
Right. No, but I mean it's true though, right? I mean, so you're getting an influx, but I'm saying in general in the market itself, right? Is there more people looking
think-
for property managers that are good or quality, or are they just out? You know, they're also just like first time home buyers. They're like, you know what, I'm just gonna wait it out.
I think the landscape for owning a rental right now might be a little uncertain, and I definitely would want somebody who knows what the hell they're doing in that city to be in charge of that.
Yeah.
Especially
So
right now of all times.
Well, I think Rick definitely knows what he's doing.
It's-
So
Yeah.
what do you think?
And if not, he'll mess you up, dude.
No. It's-
25-inch guns, bro.
Yeah, it seems to me that there's, again, slight percentage change. We're getting more calls from owners that are looking to come with us. All right,
Getting more calls.
getting more calls
So
as opposed to 3 months ago, 6 months ago. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that the eviction moratorium is ending. We get a lot of calls, not a lot, but we get more calls on owners going, okay, I hear that it's ending. How can I get rid of this person?
Well,
so
and to your point, because I've heard a lot of people say no, it had no effect on me personally, but I mean, I got like 6 or 7 calls during that time, just from random people that not have a property manager, own their home, and like, I need to get this person out.
What
He
do I
hasn't
do?
paid rent in a year and a half. And I say, you can spend $10,000 to bring him to court, and it's not very likely we'll win. Other than that, you know, because you'd have to prove that thing that they wouldn't have affected by COVID. And I just think it did have a real effect on the investment market.
It did. And here's, I saw an interesting thing, and I forgot to bring the picture. So this is still in New York. Remember, we discussed that New York still has both
Yes.
intact. So I saw in the news, this owner went out. He's so freaking frustrated. He goes on top of his own building. He spray paints over the entire roof first names of the 2 tenants and how much they freaking owe me. It was like $11.5 thousand. Haven't paid. And so, of course, he gets on the news. Well, it turns out he's done this on 2 or 3 properties. He's
Just like tagging them.
yeah, he's tagging his own property,
Right.
which it's not against the
It's
law.
like public shaming.
Yes,
Yeah,
what he's
basically.
doing.
but I think the point he was trying to make is that it's gone on more than too long, and he's just at his wit's end is because he can't do anything. And
Well,
it's not
and
that
people
the tenants
know.
are it's not that the tenants are bad. He said that. Love the tenants, love this, love that. But the government is impeding homeowners.
I mean, and the thing about it is, like, you're going to do that, you got to pay for that. That should just be a principle. Like, the government, I mean, if you're going to interfere with contract like that, fine. You have a good reason. Why aren't you issuing checks? Right? To keep the, you know, it's
So-
like you took something, pay for it.
So we talked about that last week.
Because you have money and you're
and
evil.
a lot of it has to
That's
do.
not true.
I know it's not, but that's how it's looked at.
Yeah.
So
I
to be
know.
honest.
I mean, I felt like it's honestly heartbreaking when they're like, I'm losing this much money.
I know.
I'm like,
dude,
I
I
don't
know.
have a solution.
Most
for
people
you.
who own rentals don't own hundreds of millions of dollars in rentals. They're
Yeah.
They
Well,
don't.
it's small. It's a small business. Right?
Yeah,
business.
dude.
That's what it is.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, and they call and when they call it, need legal help, right? Because you're looking at what are you taking back on a house that doesn't have a mortgage for the rental, right? So
I mean,
just
it's probably case by case. I
yeah,
would
but on
think.
average, let's say the rental's like $1,000, keep it simple, paid off. I mean, how much of that goes into property management fees? How much of that goes into maintenance, long term, HOA, all that type of stuff?
Taxes.
Yeah, so there's not a huge margin even for a paid off property,
Right.
right? And now you're saying eat all that and keep the property in good repair, which was another interesting point because in a landlord-tenant situation, as you know,
Yeah.
the landlord has an obligation
Yeah, and keep a
to
condition.
keep things. And it's like how did this get flipped?
Yes.
it's like
I'm maintaining.
It's
Yeah.
like I'm renting from you.
Yeah.
Totally reversed.
Not only am I not making money, I'm paying money.
So
Wait, that's not a good investment.
Yeah. Anyhow, I didn't mean to go on a rant there, but it's just
and-
kind of like
And hence them selling.
Yeah.
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 So, but you are seeing
Don't
an
blame 'em,
uptick in
man.
calls. What about new calls that are coming in? Are they saying like, they asking you specifically about? I read that opinion, by the way, the whole thing on the Supreme Court, and I thought it was interesting. But they're asking you things about, you know, do you think it's going to come back? What if this happens in the future? Obviously, we're still on another Delta.
Nobody's asking that.
Am I boring you, Preston?
Nobody's asking.
Preston eats this stuff up.
Nobody's asking that.
Eats it for breakfast.
They're just glad that they're out of whatever the current situation is, and if they can get out from underneath it, they're just fucking elated.
It's a headache off them.
Yes.
And
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. What was interesting about that? I'll just briefly say this because I read that opinion. I don't know if you guys care, but what it said was when the CDC issued like their order, that they had power under the statute they were created. So legal technically here, and the Supreme Court's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. That's obviously, you don't have any power. Now it was split like it always is. Here's my point. That order mirrors the orders that are coming out from Governor Sisolak. I think very similar. And it really poses a question whether any of this stuff can be held up in court over the long term. But again, when you have making $500 off of investment property, you don't have $40,000 to throw into legal fees. Anyhow, I don't know if I lost Preston there again, but I was just trying to make a
Preston,
point.
what do you got to say about that?
I'm just,
Hey, wake up, dude! Wake up!
it's just more of the same. Like I feel like it's just.
I would say
I feel like I've just been hearing this.
it
for a long
doesn't
time.
really matter if they have legal rights or not down the road. Because
That's my point, because-
by the time we get to that point, they've already lost their shit.
They've lost their shit.
I mean,
And
let's just be honest.
It's like,
you know?
well, my point is, if you're only making $20,000 a year, which
Yeah.
is good, right? It's good for an investment. Mm-hmm. And I say, yeah, I can get that tenant out for $40,000 in a year. In the meantime, he's not paying. This is what happens. You
Yep.
get stuck in a bind.
It's just be like, here, I'll just give you my house.
That's well,
Yeah.
You know,
And
hey,
you-
Here's
Yep,
my asset.
absolutely.
that's why they're pushing, trying to get the whole federal program and getting the rents to the owners, and the bottleneck there was the tenant. The tenants weren't going in and actually. This is what the tenants know. Oh, I don't have to pay. Oh, that's cool. Even though that they have all this
Yeah.
all this money
And
coming
by the
in.
way, I know I've got calls from people who definitely had money and then get,
yeah.
demand letters to pay and they try, how do I not pay this because of COVID?
Yes.
And that's more than one. And if it's just me, it's not just
No.
me.
Oh, I know.
It-
It is
it-
because of COVID.
It's all over the place.
Yeah.
So the point being is that now what I brought up last week is that the Justice Court here in town, and when you file, owners now have a way of pushing the button. And basically, if you're an owner and you want to get paid, file on the people, and then in the middle of the filing, select mediation. And if you select mediation, that allows the mediator to step in and start the process of you getting your CHAPS payment for $10,000,
That's
$11,000, or
excellent.
$12,000.
Excellent advice, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me say this. There's been a lot of information out there recently that there's been confliction between you got tenant and landlord, especially with, let's say you're a property manager, right, and you're representing the landlord. Your rents go up, or you're now saying, hey, I need to get paid, or we're trying to get paid on some of these things. You've seen this in Las Vegas recently, right, where there's some issues that I've seen in the news where landlords and tenants are having issues with them not paying. Is that something that you go through with your people as far as, issues where they haven't paid or they're having trouble paying? Or
tenants?
Yeah, the tenants.
Yeah.
I think that's
of
what
course.
that's what we've been talking about.
Yeah.
Well, let me explain. But let me explain. So what do you do in that situation?
Dummy.
Well,
That's what we were just talking about,
Up until 2 days ago, you basically sat on your hands.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything you could do. And that's being facetious, because we've been able for months to be able to evict on many different scenarios other than rent. So lease violations, 30-day no cause when they're up to date, things of that nature. You've still been able to do that.
And lease expirations too, right? Like
Well, not just because most lease expirations
Oh,
they go month to month.
yeah.
So no, but
Until they give you those keys,
yeah.
you got problems if they choose
well, if
not
it goes
to
month
leave.
to month, you just go, okay, this is your last month.
Yeah, that's the point.
As
That-
long
there
as
was a stay.
up to that point,
Right.
as long as they were paid up to date. Okay, if they weren't paid up to
yeah,
date,
yeah,
even if
yeah,
it was
yeah,
month
yeah,
to month, you couldn't
yeah,
do anything.
Yeah, and that part too. That only if they pay you can you then evict them.
Yes.
If they don't pay you, then you can't evict them.
What?
Makes sense.
What's he saying?
See, and
that's how it works.
See, and that's
No,
why-
listen, it's the government.
It's
It makes
backwards.
sense.
It's backwards.
It's the government. It makes
well,
sense if you
what
think
they're
about it.
trying to say is
you don't
like
think about
It's the government.
what they
Just don't think about it.
Yeah. There is some logic there, because what they're trying to say is like, if we're all good people until the truth, and then you of course wouldn't pay the rent Because there's no other
We're all good
reason
people.
why you
No.
would withhold
We're all good
rent.
people
Yes.
until the truth. I love that.
Yes.
That's my new quote.
Yeah.
I like that.
And then the legal industry wouldn't exist because there'd be no need for it. But we're not talking about that. Anyhow, continuing.
Well, I was looking for I was looking for
You'll never-
stories.
so in other words, you'll never
that
be out
you've
of
dealt
business.
with
Yeah.
personally
Hey, I
about
make
your
money out of
about
people's
your property
mistakes.
management. Like what stories have you guys or that you guys have gone through that you've had
Okay.
to go through to get somebody out or dealing with that is what I was going towards.
Okay.
Sorry,
for,
Dan.
For the most part, status quo on all those things that I mentioned that we've been able to do up until this time. No stories that are unusual. Okay.
Sure.
The only thing that I've got, and my wife works with me, which
So she's on the team, huh?
she's on the team. She handles the accounting and she handles
Has she
the
been working with you the entire time?
So she's the brains and you're the muscle.
yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much.
I love to
pretty
hear
much.
that.
It's a good
Pretty
duel.
much.
Because I always hear people like married that go, "Oh, I can't
got
work
their
with
system
them. I
worked
can't
out."
be in the same room." I'm like,
Now we've got our
Just quit bitching and get it
we-
done.
We got our like 45th wedding anniversary coming up on, believe it or not, September 11th.
Good for you,
man.
Congrats,
Congratulations.
My buddy's got
Congrats.
And she sits like right there. So, I can't get away
She's
with
the brains, you're the muscle.
Yeah,
Yep.
I can't get away with
the
anything.
enforcer.
But every once in a
get away
while,
with
this
anything.
in the past couple of weeks, I'll hear her all of a sudden. I've got a yippee coming out of her mouth, and she'll be, and she'll get a $10,000 chaps check.
There you go.
That we've been waiting for like 3 months. So
I've been waiting for
You
it.
get interest
So
on that, right?
Yeah, right. So nobody gets any interest on it. So anyway, but the point to this is that they're coming in faster. So the government is catching up. Okay, and
Bullshit.
no, they are. They are.
Yeah,
They are catching up. It's taking a long
It's
time.
flipping. We're gonna have student loans come back, and
They went from worse to bad.
you didn't. You didn't have to pay student loans the last 2 years. Now they're like, you have to pay it again in February.
Yeah.
The
And
notice
then,
is, this is the last time that this is happening.
Yeah.
That's what I said in the email.
Yeah, that's what it said. Yeah,
That's
it was
what
a big
happened.
deal. I still have some. I'm not happy about it. But it was no way you were going to pay it when there was 0% interest. They asked me to pay it more when it was 0% interest. I'm like,
Do you know what I did?
financially, that makes zero sense.
I invested
Like,
the money
why-
instead. So
Yeah, yeah.
I
Anyhow,
can pay off
I'm
my
getting
student
out.
loans
My
now, so
point
that's
is,
even better.
and they're hitting us with new tax bills to like hike the taxes because they've created an inflationary problem. Now we got to fix it, which is kind of just odd to me. That here's a bunch of money, give it back. 8 months later, when you already spent it, and now I'm gonna put you into debt.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
Keynesian.
What did you think was going to happen?
Well, so you haven't had
I knew
any
it had
real
to happen,
issues
but-
like these, like you see, because we see it a lot. I've seen it all over on news channels. You haven't had real issues though, like internally with your company with tenants. I guess it's like stories or anything. Nothing real big because I see some stuff that's gone on that.
like asking,
Okay,
like,
so here are the stories. A whole bunch of tenants in the beginning didn't pay a lot of money. Some tenants got up between $20 and $30,000 owed.
Right.
All right. And then
See, that's what we want to know. I mean, it's just what is really happening.
and how
with this?
many again? Tell us again how many properties you manage.
600.
over between 500 and 600.
So what percentage do you think got default in that year and a half period? If you had an
Oh
estimate.
man, remember she's the one that does the evictions, but
Give us a round number. Give us a rough number.
well,
Just an idea.
it started off that there were a whole bunch of people that didn't know, about 30%. Okay, 30% stopped paying. 70%,
Wow.
70% kept paying, but
That doesn't surprise me otherwise because people said 5 or 10. I've heard from other sources. I'm like, there's no way that's right. So I think this is you're dead on about.
yeah,
Sorry, continue.
It's about 30%. Well, that's gotten down now to where I think she has about 10 people, 10 out of the 550.
And that's probably a reasonable rate.
No, that's good, man.
Yeah, that's
really
really good.
good.
That's really good.
what,
And that's-
2%?
Yeah, and that's
1%?
because
You were able to collect on
Yeah,
those?
we've been able to collect on everybody else.
Yes, what did you do? Just collection company efforts, or what did you do? Just
No,
curious.
the CHAPS payments, and then
Okay, gotcha.
no, this was the funny part. So, to your point, you have people that were trying to get out of the evictions, yet they were spending money on brand new cars, went through the roof, so on and so forth. When they were getting all of these unemployment checks and whatnot.
That's what I was going
Yeah,
towards.
dude.
Okay, so
Yeah.
this eviction process has gone on and off again 2 or 3 times. All right, and here in Nevada, And the very first time that it was the moratorium's ending in, and I'm making this up because my brain isn't that good. So let's say the May 31st. It's going to be done on May 31st. Well, guess what? About the 29th and 30th, 5 to 10 of these people came in and brought in like $4,000 and $5,000 checks at that time in order to catch up.
I see.
All right. And then on the 1st, they go, no, we're going to continue the moratorium.
Well, it's just because.
And then it comes to the next one,
Well,
and the same thing
the
happens. And then several people came in and they paid $7,000 to $8,000.
And I'll make the point again. It's because everybody's great and honest. Yeah. They just didn't get that $8,000 check until that day. I mean, that's just obviously.
Yeah. Well, guess what?
Happened?
They weren't.
Come on, I'm sick of the BS.
They weren't
dancing
getting
around it.
First of all, they weren't getting the checks except for their unemployment, and then so now. It's gotten to the point where I've been telling you that we as owners, representing the owners, have to push the button. There were, let me be honest, there were many tenants that actually went out and did it on their own. So don't get me wrong. But there are more tenants that you had to push into doing it in order to make it happen. And now we're starting to get those tax payments.
I'm going to go on a little rant here because honestly, the calls I got too, I'm not even lying. Like, it's heartbreaking, right? Because I'm like, I want to help you, but this is not going to, on numbers in court, it's just not going to pay off, right?
Yeah.
If you try to do something. And then to hear, like, if you tried to make that point at all, like, oh, you're just trying to throw people on the street or you don't care. I'm like, that is total BS. Yeah. I'm sorry. Trust me, the ones that are in that position, there is no way you could evict them because their case would be obvious.
Yeah.
So you're saying those 10 obviously have not abused it, but they used the situation because they weren't paying. But then they just randomly came in your office one day or like right before they were going to be potentially evicted. Here's the check, right?
Yeah.
And so I guess.
Miraculously.
Well, listen, at least it's a low number. I mean, you see other places that just don't have people and they got to go through,
but
getting evicted.
Your units are owned privately, right?
Yes.
So it's not like they own all the units. The ones that aren't paying the 30%, that's one person owning that unit.
Yeah, it could be 100% of someone's unit.
Yeah, so
100%.
you ask that person, it's like all of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
somebody else is like, oh, I didn't
they
even know.
have one house. They have one house. They're one investment.
Yeah.
And they don't get any money for a year and a half.
And they're housing somebody else.
And that's it.
That's what I'm saying. Those
And
are,
they're-
yeah.
So what's the average of person like or investor
for
that you work
appreciation.
with like 10 plus properties? Like, or let's just say a property manager in general. Like, do you have a lot of those people out there, those mom and pops that are actually 10 plus in investments?
10 plus, no. Do we have them? Sure. They're a fairly small percentage. I would say 5%.
Okay.
At 10 plus, you should just be in commercial at that.
That's what I was going to say.
How are
you
you,
know?
mom and pop?
Well,
Hey, I've done a loan where somebody had 22 properties.
No, that's reasonable.
No kidding.
No joke.
no.
I mean, this is,
Yeah.
we have
People do
several
that. I
owners
just don't
that
know.
own 20 plus.
now it's a lot of work.
yeah, but
I don't see why you'd want to own single.
But it
family
isn't
homes
a
like that.
lot of work. The reason that it's not a lot of work is
Property
because they have a property manager.
Yeah.
exactly.
Right.
Because they hire someone to take care of all
The
the
largest single, the person that had the most units with us at one time had 100. I think it was 118.
Yeah.
And he had seconds on all
Were
of them. and he had
they just single family residents or were they multi units or
both?
Okay.
They were both.
how many do you
With-
have?
with-
100?
Like 116 units, and with the largest building being like an 8-plex.
Wow.
So, and they were
Just buy a
all.
goddamn apartment
And listen,
complex.
this is where they were, all behind the stratosphere.
Of course. Why not just buy an apartment?
Nice little nest egg for retirement.
Because, well, that's what I said. He
Damn.
had second trust deeds on all of these.
Wow.
And they all stopped paying because it was part of a group. So a group of investors that had all these properties, and the group decided, no, we're not going to pay anymore. And they
Yeah,
milked
yeah,
it. They didn't pay the water bills. They didn't pay anything.
And he had 116 units, what you said?
Yeah, and so he foreclosed on all of them, and we happened to have our office there and down in that area, and he just hired us to handle it.
And what you're describing is, I mean, what Rick's describing here is the logistics and how housing becomes available, in this city, in this country, or whatnot. I saw something in the news the other day that said, like, some person was protesting and saying housing should be a human right. I don't disagree. I agree with that. But here's the
don't
thing:
agree.
how do you create housing? How do you create? Well, here's my point: how do you create housing?
Somebody's
You
got to work.
incentivize people to create housing. You don't
Swing a hammer.
decentivize them. What I'm saying is there's no way you don't put more people in that camp because as investors say, look, this market's too expensive. It's too much of a problem. I'm out. Guess what? Supply contracts. It's really frustrating, I guess my point is, to see some that they're causing the same problem that they now turn around and trying to fix by manipulating the market.
Well, those
That
are
makes
people
sense.
that use excuses their whole lives to not.
Let's
really
segue to a
get or
different
do
topic here because we are running out of time.
I'm
But
sorry.
I want to answer what Michael Stallworth said here. He said 60 days for landlords and 30 days notice for rentals. Is that correct? And I'm going to ask you that.
Wait,
He's saying
context?
60 days for landlords and a 30-day notice for renter. Correct?
For what?
for what?
With a month to month?
Within a month to month, he said. So I'm thinking
For-
as far
for-
as
for
I think
doing-
to evict,
for,
right?
for,
To evict.
for
To
doing
evict.
what?
to evict.
To do
evict.
notice of eviction. I think
Notice of evictions are 7-day pay or quits if it's on money. So the entire process takes, with the way things are bogged down in the courts now and going to be really bogged down, it's probably closer to 3 weeks to a month to get somebody out.
I think the question though is like if it's on a month to month, you have
It
to
doesn't
give them
matter.
30 days.
Yeah, so if like he's in a month to month, is it the same basically?
Yeah,
You know, if
it doesn't matter.
because what-
it doesn't matter
what
the
Rick's
term.
saying-
Doesn't matter the term of the lease
you obviously can't get a 7-day notice.
Hold on, how can it not matter the term of the lease?
because he hasn't paid. We're talking about
You're talking about
non-payment of
money's
rent.
owed.
Right.
Money's
Money's
owed.
owed.
Yeah, you
period.
only you only do a 7-day notice if they're in default. So his
Right.
question
Of
is
rent.
month to month.
Money.
Well, if they went to month and they paid the 13th month, there's no way a notice of default's going to happen until 30 days after that. So to answer his question, if it's paid, then obviously you wouldn't do a notice until like the next payment becomes in default.
Correct.
I think that's where the confusion is about.
Yeah. So that's how long it takes to get one out. Now they just changed the law on notices as far as your rent increases. It used to be 45 days. Last week they also increased that to 60 days. So which I think is a good thing. You know, 45 days, when you really think about it, that's pretty short term to bump somebody. If you're going to do a hefty bump on them, 60 days, okay, I get it. The only problem that I, as a property manager, have is if we keep going down this path, then the farther down the path we go, the worse it is for investors that aren't going to be investing. And if they don't invest, then the rentals, you're not going to be able to find a place if that's where you're at.
That's exactly what my point is.
You know, and that's one of the reasons that I'm always after the association and whatnot, because they want to do all this stuff for take money for the legal end of it. But I never.
Oh, dude, that's a joke when they request us for our dues.
Yeah, and
I never pay that.
I never pay that.
Kiss my ass.
because
To pay what?
Because
They want. Here you go.
because as far as property managers,
When you go to pay your realtor fees and stuff?
because as far as property managers are concerned,
Association.
Yeah.
they're always behind the wheel. They're always playing defense.
I know.
And they're never playing offense. I
know.
mean, why is it a 7-day pay? We went from 5 to 7. Why didn't it go from 5 to 3?
Yeah.
Why is it a 30-day
So,
no cause?
like,
Why can't it be a 15-day
It's like
no
like paying a
cause?
union that doesn't represent you.
Correct.
That's why I don't do it right there.
that's the
First
way
I
it
joined a
is.
realtor association, I was like, dude, this is what this bracket's about.
Oh, I got you.
I mean, it's like you're paying for it. You're basically is your real estate agent a realtor? All that means is you're basically joined an association.
Yeah.
A club.
But
you
in
joined a club.
Yeah, right. You joined. So you joined a union that doesn't represent you.
But you get
That
some
represents
stickers.
everyone else first, but you.
Well, let's
I'm
go.
just saying.
Let's move to a different topic because, like I said, we're running out of time. So we
thanks,
can
Rick.
sit
That
on this
was,
the whole time. Rick, yeah, we
that was
appreciate all the
great.
information,
Real
man.
Thank
insight.
you.
Yeah. So let's talk with Brett.